As someone who had reconnected with WWE, especially over the last year or so, WrestleMania was something I was heavily looking forward to. And for the most part, I have to say it delivered on its promises. Even though I wasn't so happy with certain outcomes, the matches were pretty good overall. The men's showcase superseded a lot of people's expectations, even though if you look at the people in that match, it shouldn't have, because those guys can work their asses off. Charlotte and Rhea delivered. I was so happy Rhea got her moment because, man, I was super scared Charlotte was gonna come out with that W. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they were the right option to close out night one. I don't care what anybody says, just go and look at that match, the crowd reaction, and the finish. It's very clear why they closed the show. Side note, shout out to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Remember like 2-3 years ago when people were like, oh my god, they're not doing enough with Sami and Kevin Owens, they need to leave WWE, they need to go to AEW. Now look at them, they're one of the top stars in the company. WrestleMania was not perfect. I mean, you have that women's showcase match, which was obviously a piss break, and I can't lie, the John Cena versus Austin Theory match was pretty disappointing, but overall WrestleMania was a good show. Now I won't lie, it was not without controversy, as the main event of night 2 of Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes really had a mixed reaction. The match as a whole I think was received pretty good, as a lot of people enjoyed the match. I was on the edge of my seat for most of it, but the ending of Cody Rhodes losing to Roman Reigns via distraction and also interference from Solo Sikoa, it pissed off a lot of people, and in the moment I was heated, I can't lie. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Roman Reigns fan. The run that he's been on has been historic, not just in terms of length, but in terms of actual quality and storylines. But I just felt like everything on that night felt perfect for Cody Rhodes to win. I mean, think about it, before the match even started, he kissed his kid and his wife and gave the belt to Brody Lee's son. They had me convinced he was gonna win this match. But after more time thinking about it and actually understanding why they did what they did, I truly do believe that this was the right decision for Roman Reigns to go over on Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. For starters, let's talk about Roman Reigns before we get to the obvious Cody Rhodes. We've seen Roman Reigns in a lot of different situations throughout this title run, but nothing like the one that he's in right now. Before Roman got the bloodline with Jimmy and Jay, way before Solo Sikoa was even a thought to join, it was a very brief stint with Roman and Paul Heyman. Many people, including myself, barely even remember that stint because Jay came in so early into the reign. But now that Roman is in a similar situation where it's obvious that he is distancing himself from the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, throwing in this new dynamic of Roman, Jay, and Jimmy now post WrestleMania where he has his titles and Jay and Jimmy don't, I definitely think is a interesting story going forward for the bloodline. It's very clear that eventually Roman is going to snap on his cousins, especially Jay Uso. If he doesn't snap on Jimmy, that's fine, but the Roman and Jay dynamic has to continue. Their story goes so far back, and I've always said this, the Sami Zayn story was not the real story of the bloodline. It was the Jay Uso story. Jay Uso has been bitched, dogged on, spit on, and just bullied by Roman Reigns consistently, and eventually one of them are going to snap on the other. And once that happens, whether that match is for the championship or not, whether he still has the titles or he doesn't, that match is going to be a great one. The bloodline still has so many layers of their story to be told, and I definitely think that keeping the title on Roman Reigns secures that story to be told properly. It's not like you can't tell that story without Roman Reigns, but I do believe that once Roman drops those titles, he is going to go away for a pretty long time, as he said in interviews, and you don't want to do that right now, so obviously you can tell these stories within the bloodline. The bloodline has been carrying a lot of these shows over the last year or so. You want to just drop that story and replace it with Cody Rhodes as the champion? I mean, I like Cody, but to just instantly replace that bloodline story with something like Cody Rhodes right now, it just doesn't seem right, especially with so much left to tell in this story. And while we're on the topic of Cody Rhodes, let's talk about Cody for a second, because this loss could be more beneficial than a lot of people think. For starters, I know a lot of people have thrown around the word adversity when it comes to Cody Rhodes' story. They feel as if Cody Rhodes didn't actually have to work for this championship opportunity, energy, and especially to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns on a grand stage like WrestleMania. And to those people, for the most part, I do agree. I gotta say, Cody Rhodes tearing his pectoral muscle was a curse and blessing for him. It was a curse to a degree because he was off TV for so long that he could have spent actually building himself up in the eyes of fans, making them have sympathy and empathy for his story and connect with this character more. But obviously it was a blessing because that injury added to the story of that Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins, which ultimately stamped him as a made man in WWE. But at the end of the day, Cody Rhodes didn't really face any true adversity or struggle in WWE so far. He had never even lost a match in the company since coming back. He waltzed in and beat Seth Rollins on night 1 in WrestleMania. Then he also beat him again 2 more times on pay-per-view. He comes in at number 30 and wins and eliminated the guy that came in at number 1 to do so, and now he has a championship match at the main event of WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. It's hard for fans to sympathize with somebody who never really has to struggle to get these opportunities. For example, take somebody like Charlotte Flair. The reason that it doesn't ever work for her to be a babyface is because she never really has to struggle for anything. This is the same woman that when she came back to win the championship against Ronda Rousey a couple of months ago, she just came back on her first night and challenged her and won the title. When she joined the first ever women's main event with Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey, she didn't have to win some qualifying match. Vince McMahon just put her in the match. Or hell, let's not forget when Charlotte Flair was just added into the triple threat with Becky Lynch and Carmella, and she won the championship when fans wanted to see Becky win. Of course, there are obvious differences between Charlotte and Cody Rhodes, but like I said, it's hard for us to sympathize and empathize with someone's character and story arc if there isn't an obvious struggle for them to get to the top. Cody Rhodes is not Brock Lesnar. Cody Rhodes is not Drew McIntyre. He is not somebody that is so intimidating physically or with their presence alone that it justifies such a dominant run to become the champion. If Daniel Bryan just beat Randy Orton in their rematch, supposedly at Hell in a Cell, right? The one with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee, do y'all seriously think that would have been the right decision? And what's crazy about that situation as compared to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania is that Daniel Bryan had already been screwed multiple times by the Authority and Randy Orton before that point. I'm not saying that all stories have to be the same, but for fans to truly resonate with your big moment and crowning achievement, there has to be some type of struggle for most baby faces, especially for a situation where you're taking the title off somebody who's been champion for over 900 days and has beat guys like Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle. The list goes on and on of all the great wrestlers that he's beaten for that title. What makes Cody Rhodes' story better than that of Jey Uso's right now, or that of Sami Zayn's right now, or Drew McIntyre's heading into Clash at the Castle? Yes, we get it. He wants to win the title that was taken away from his father, but unfortunately fans just haven't connected with that story enough to justify him winning at WrestleMania. Yes, Cody Rhodes is over, don't get me wrong, but if he's as over as I and many other fans believe he is, then he can go through the struggle and adversity to get that championship, and Brock Lesnar is the perfect first obstacle. So to everybody that's still mad about this decision, I hope you understand it a little bit more with this video. Roman Reigns is on a pretty historic run. Over 1,000 days as champion is definitely going to be a historic milestone, not only for him but for that company. The Bloodline story is one of the best stories that they have ever told, and Roman Reigns is a solidified superstar in that business. We always talk about how WWE isn't making stars the way they used to, but this is a legitimate star that they are making into a superstar before our very eyes. And we know he has those Hollywood connections. He's gonna be a big star in about 10-15 years looking back on this. So in the long run, what they're doing with Roman Reigns, it is gonna pay off huge. You see these reactions that John Cena is getting now coming back to the company whenever he does make these returns? Just imagine in like 10-15 years when Roman Reigns is like semi-retired doing what John Cena's doing. He's gonna get humongous pops. On a final note though, let me leave you guys with this, because I know a lot of people think, hey man, Cody Rhodes could lose a lot of his momentum by like SummerSlam if he's gonna win it there. Well, if that happens, I'm gonna be real with you, that means that Cody Rhodes was never the guy. For example, when Daniel Bryan was getting his ass screwed every week on TV by the Authority, Randy Orton, Big Show, whoever it was, even when the company didn't plan on him being the main event of WrestleMania 30 and wanted it to be Batista versus Randy Orton, the fans force Daniel Bryan into that main event because he was that over. Cody Rhodes already has a built-in story to be the one to take the title off of Roman Reigns, and it's very clear that they're going to build towards a rematch one day. That's an advantage that Cody already has that Daniel Bryan did not have. It's very clear that the company of WWE is more behind Cody than they were Bryan back in the day. So if he were to quote-unquote lose momentum by SummerSlam, then that just means he wasn't the guy to begin with. But hey, those are just my thoughts. You guys let me know down below in the comment section if you disagree. I'm very open to everybody's opinions. I'll respond to as much people as I can. Don't forget to drop a like on this video. It helps me out in the algorithm a ton. Also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that bell for post notifications. I'm gonna be dropping a whole bunch of different kind of content on this channel. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. You guys stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.